welcome back to my channel, Fun with Joelle, or welcome if you are new here. In this week's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to crochet this little like handbag, purse thing. Everything that I use in this video are pretty essential and simple things you need. You don't need anything crazy. All you need is yarn, scissors, a hook. The hook today that I'm using is 2.5 millimeter hook. I don't know if you can see that, but it says it. So all you need is yarn, scissors, a hook, and if you want a stitch counter, and again, if you want a stitch marker. Stitch counter and stitch markers are optional. I will not be using them, but I will stop and tell you when you can use them, like when there's an opportunity to use them, but I will not be using them. So the stitches that I use are half double crochets, stitches, chains, the stitches that I use are half double crochets, slip stitch, and a chain. Chain isn't really much of a stitch, but yeah. So let's just get into it. So first you're going to be making a magic circle. How you do that, you wrap the yarn around your finger twice, and then you put the hook under the first wrap, and you grab the second wrap and pull it under the first wrap. Then you twist the yarn around. You twist your hook, and that twists the yarn so that your yarn has turned into a loop. So then you grab the yarn that is still attached to the yarn ball and you pull it through the loop that you made. And then you're going to chain one. So now that you have your magic circle, you are going to do 10 half double crochets. And how you do a half double crochet, you yarn over, put the hook in the loop, yarn over, and now you should have 3 loops on your hook. And then you pull through all 3. Let's do it again. Yarn over, hook through the loop, loop up, pull through all 3. Yarn over, hook through the loop, loop up, pull through all 3. And you're going to repeat that 7 more times. Now that you have done 10 half double crochets into your magic circle, you're going to pull the tail to close up your magic circle. And then once it is closed up, you are going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2. And you're going to do an increase. How you increase is you're going to do a half double crochet in the first half double crochet, and then you're going to do another one in the same half double crochet. Let's do it again. Half double crochet, and then another half double crochet in the same loop. One more time, half double crochet, then you do another half double crochet in the same loop. And then you're going to repeat that until you get to the beginning here, and then I'll meet you back. Once you reach the end, you should have 20 half double crochets in total. So now you're going to slip stitch into the second chain that you made at the beginning of this row. Next, you are going to chain 2. And here is where it starts getting a little to a lot of stitches. So if you want, here you can use a stitch counter to mark how many, to count along with yourself while you're doing the stitches, to count how many you have to how many you should have, to make sure that you have enough if it's hard for you to count in your head. And if you start to have trouble getting to the right amount of stitches, but you're too close or too far to the end of the row before you should be, or after you should be, whatever, you can use stitch markers to mark your first stitch. Let me just give you an example. So in the first loop, you're going to do an increase, but first I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet, and then you can put your stitch marker here, and then when you go all around, you know that's where you started, so you know when you need a slip stitch, you just go right before that here. Again, I'm not going to be using any stitch counters or stitch markers, so just keep that in mind. When I'm not using it, you can if you want, whatever helps you. Okay, let's get back to it. So I told you there's an increase here, so I'm just going to add another half double crochet in the same stitch. So now I have 2, but now we're going to do, in the next loop, you're only going to do 1 half double crochet. And then in the next one, you're going to do an increase. And then in the next one, you're going to do 1 half double crochet. And in the next, an increase. And if you haven't noticed, the string, the tail, I have stitched in throughout my stitches. So here's where it ends. So now you don't see the tail anymore. Instead of cutting it off and then maybe accidentally unraveling your purse, which you do not want to do. So yeah, I just wanted to address that. But now, since you have done an increase and then 1 increase, 1 increase, you're just going to keep on going like that. So in the next one, you're just going to do 1 half double crochet, and then the next one, you're going to do an increase, so on and so forth, until you should have 30 half double crochets in this row, and I'll meet you at the end. Alright guys, so now that you have 30 stitches, make sure that you have 30 stitches. Even I messed up and I had to redo row 2, which was the last row. This is row 3. I had to redo row 2 because I had not put 10 stitches. So please make sure that I had not put 20 stitches. So please make sure that you stitch the right amount of stitches, please. So now you're not So now you're gonna slip stitch. Sorry about cinnamon. So now you're gonna slip stitch into the second chain, and you're going to chain 2. So for row 4, we are going to do an increase. And then we're going to do 1 chain, 1 half double crochet in the next loop, and then 1 half double crochet in the next loop. And then we're gonna do another increase. And then 1 half double crochet in the next loop, and in the next 1 half double crochet, and then an increase. So you're just going to continue the increase, 1 half double, 1 half double, increase, 1 half double, 1 half double, increase, until you go all the way around, and you should have 40 half double crochets in total, and I'll see you at the end. Alright guys, so now that you have 40 stitches, please make sure that you have 40 stitches. Even I had to, again, retrace my steps. I think the problem is when I tell you guys the stitches and I don't count them. I'm going to try to do that though. So now you're going to slip stitch into the second chain, just like that. And then you are going to chain 2 once again, and you're just going to continue doing an increase, and then every row you go, you're going to be adding, you're going to be doing less and less increases. For example, for row 5, which is the row that we're going to be starting right now, you're going to do an increase and then 3 normal stitches. So 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet. And then you're going, and then you're going to be doing increase, and then 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet. And then for row 6, you're going to do an increase, and then 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then an increase, then 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then that is it for row 6. And then if you get me, every time you go to another row, you're going to be doing, again, less and less increases and more regular stitches, if you get me. And you're going to be doing this until row 8, when you have 80 stitches in row 8. That's how big my purse is going to be. If you want it to be bigger or smaller, you can stop wherever you want and then just meet me back here. Alright guys, so now that you have reached row 8, you should have 80 half double crochets in this row, only in row 8. In row 7, you should have 70. In row 6, you should have 60. In row 5, you should have 50. And then we did rows 4, 3, 2, and 1 together. So you should already have those good. Now you're going to slip stitch into the second chain. We're going to chain 1, and you're going to cut off the string, and you're done with this part. So now you're just going to repeat everything that we did in this whole piece again. So let me just try and explain that a little more. We're gonna make your magic circle. If you remember, you wrap the yarn around your fingers twice. You take it, you twist it, grab it, and chain 1. There you go. Now you have your magic circle. So you're gonna half double crochet 10, let it close. And there's row 1. You're going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet, and there it is. And you're gonna chain 2, and you're gonna increase in every single one so that you have 20 half double crochets. Make sure you count as you're going if you can. If you can't, for whatever reason, if you can't count as you're going, then I would recommend, I have to redo this, but don't redo yours if you didn't do anything wrong, but I have done something wrong. So make sure, for whatever reason, if you cannot count while you are actually making the stitches, you can, and please make sure at the end of each row that you count, that you count how many stitches you have to make sure. Remember, row 1 is the first row that we do, which it means that the magic circle is row 1. Make sure you have 10 half double crochets. Row 2, 20, row 3, 30, row 4, 40, row 5, 50, row 6, 60, row 7, 70, and lastly, row 8, 80. But if you want less or more, row 9, 90, row 10, 100, row 11, 110, however many rows you do, just make sure you do increases, less and less. Not less and less, you're still gonna do increases, but I already explained it. So just make sure you have the right amount of stitches on each row. And also, I forgot to address this when we were doing the first one, but make sure you always start the row with an increase, and always end the row with just regular stitches. For example, on row 80, you want to start with an increase and end with 8 stitches with 1 stitch in 8 different loops. So you always start with increase, end with normal, please. It's just gonna make it much easier for you. I don't think anything bad will really happen if you don't do that. But I just recommend you to. I will see you guys when you have done the next part, the copy of this one. All right, guys, so I am back, and hopefully you have finished your copy of this circle. So now you have 2. Do not take off the string, do not cut off the yarn, because now we are building up from this. So you are going to obviously slip stitch into the second chain, and then you are going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now that you have 10 chains, you are going to chain once more. So now you have 11, and into the 10th chain, the last chain, the second chain to the hook, you are going to slip stitch. How you slip stitch, you already know. You just put the hook into the loop, you grab the yarn, and you pull through that one with the same loop. Through, grab, pull. Through, grab, pull. Through, grab, pull. And you are just going to continue doing slip stitches until the end of the row, and I'll meet you back there. Okay, now that you have, now that you have made it to the end of the row, you are going to insert your hook into this loop right here, and you are going to slip stitch. And then you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to slip stitch. So you're going to be so you went down, now you're going up. So just slip stitch all the way. Make sure you count, please, because here is where it can get a little messed up. When I was making this pattern, I was getting messed up, and it was hard for me to stay with 10 stitches, and I had to redo like so much. So as you can see here, it is not a complete straight line. You can see here the chains are a little tighter, and here it's not so tight, but that is okay, because once we get to the end of this section, they'll be all covered up and you won't be able to see it. So now you are going to chain 1 and then turn your work back. I had already done it though, yeah. And then you are going to half double crochet, 10 half double crochets down. So we went down, and then we went up, and now we're going back down, and then we're going to go back up. And then you're going to go into this next loop here, not the loop that you just used, the next one right here, and you're going to slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to half double crochet 10 stitches back up. And then you're going to chain 1, you're going to slip stitch now, 10 slip stitches down, back down, and then in the next loop, not the one you just did, not the one before that, the next one should be the one right in front of your row, not under it. You're going to slip stitch, and you're going to chain 1, turn your work back, and you're going to slip stitch 10 stitches back up. And then you're going to chain 1, flip your work, then you're going to half double crochet 10 down. And then you're going to go into the next one in front. So if it was flipped that way, I know I'm holding it sideways like this, but if it was faced upright, that's the way it's going to look. Not the one under it right here, the next one right in front of it. And you're going to slip stitch into it. And you're going to chain 1, flip your work. You're going to do 10 half double crochets back up. And then you're going to chain 1, and by now you should know the pattern. So I just did the pattern twice. So you're going to do 2 rows of slip stitch next. So I just finished this part. So the next things you're going to do, so you're going to do 1 row of slip stitch going down. You're going to go into the, you're going to slip stitch into the next loop, and then you're going to slip stitch back up, and then you're going to do switch to half double crochet going down, and you're going to slip stitch into the next, and then you're going to go back up, and then you're going to switch to slip stitch into the next, back up, half double crochet into the next, back up, slip stitch into the next, back up, half double crochet into the next, back up, so on and so forth. So if you end up forgetting the pattern, you could just rewatch this part over and over again, and you should be good. The only thing you don't repeat anymore, well, you didn't repeat it at all anyways, but the only thing you don't repeat is the chain. So I will see you guys back here when I reach, when you reach here.
Freeze. Editing Joelle here. So I actually said this wrong, and I apologize. I think I explained it in the next clip, but I do not do, you do not want to stop there unless you want to be unraveling a bunch of yarn. I would recommend to stop at from 20 stitches from that part if you want. I explain it in the next clip.
Right here. 2 chains from the start. So I'll see you guys back. By the way, this part is very time consuming, just to let you know. So this will probably take me a long time. Don't rush it. Just take your time, do your best, and I will see you right back. All right, guys, so as you see, I have a space from here to the start. I have gone and done rows, copies of the first rows that you saw all around. And now I have found myself with a gap. So here you can choose however big you want your gap to be. Like for example, in the original design of the purse, I made the gap this big. It's about big enough to hold like a wallet or a phone, and like it can hold pretty much a lot of stuff. I decided not to make the gap too big because I didn't, like if you were to use this in your daily life, I didn't want things to fall out of it. Like if it tilted the wrong way, like I wouldn't want things to fall out of it too easily. So I decided to make it that small. People are saying it's small, so. It is smaller than the gap that I have here. So all I'm saying is that just continue to do rows until you find a gap that is good for you. I think I'm gonna stop here though for me. And if you're wondering where I'm stopping, I stop at 17 loops or stitches, whatever you want to call them, from the beginning. But when you find your size, please make sure that you end with a row of slip stitches. Oh, did I even do that? I did not. Let me do that really quickly. Sorry, I meant with the pattern of slip stitches. For example, like 1 row down and 1 row up. That's what I meant. You know what I'm saying. You get it. I hope. So actually I'm going to instead be 16 stitches from the beginning, since I have just crocheted into another one of the loops. And there it is. So that is where I am, 16 stitches from the starting point. And again, make sure you end with a section of slip stitches. So now you are going to get the piece that you made as a copy, or if this one was the copy, I don't know what you chose. I think this one was the copy though. I don't know. So you're gonna get your second piece of the base, and sorry, I chained one because I didn't want to lose the yarn. Okay, so you're not going to chain one. You're going, sorry, actually you are, I'm sorry. So you're gonna chain one. You're gonna get your piece, and you're gonna decide which side you want to be the inside and outside. But you probably should have decided that at the beginning, but I think you can decide whether or not where you want it. Yeah, so you can just flip it over if you want it this way, flip it that way if you want it that way. I decided for this part that you're seeing right now to be the inside though, because if you're wondering why, this is like the inside where you can see all the attaching. Can't really see on camera, but I can see it in real life. When here, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks different. It looks like everything was just already there at the beginning. But here you can see more of the stitching. Here you can't. Stitching, no stitching. Stitching, no stitching. If you get what I mean. It's just a little bit of a rougher side. So now you are going to get your piece. You're going to decide which one's the front and the back. This side looks more like stitching, so this will be the outside. So you're going to flip it towards the other part of the inside that you want it to be on. Make sure that the insides touch. Make sure they're facing each other. You're going to grab your other circle. You're going to insert your hook into the first loop up here on top of all the rows that you have done. And it doesn't matter where you put your first stitch. I'm just choosing to do it here since I have a string here. And you are going to slip stitch, and then you are going to, if you need to, you can flip your work, because I needed to, because I had to start it backwards because I'm smart. So now you're going to insert into the next hole, and make sure you also get the hole on the top, up top. And you are going to slip stitch once again, insert, slip stitch, insert, slip stitch, insert, slip stitch. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around until you reach the beginning, because this is the beginning for me. I don't know where you started. I started at the end because I didn't cut my string. So if you don't cut your string, you can start at the end, or you could cut your string and attach it back to the end, whatever. But just make sure it gets the opposite side, and I will meet you back when you get right here. All right, welcome back. So you have reached to the end over here. Now what you're gonna do is you are gonna chain one. Make sure it is a tight chain one, very small. could do smaller. But not so tight to the point where you break the yarn. Just make sure it's tight. Then you are going to go along the edge and you are going to slip stitch to secure the edges and just make it more structural, and also to prevent any like fraying from like whatever you put in your purse, I guess. And you're just gonna keep on doing that until you get all around the circle, including these edges where we did the rows of 10. So for example, you just go into this intersection right here, right where the base and the rows meet. You're gonna slip stitch there, and then you're just gonna slip stitch around there. There you go, just like that. And then you're gonna do that again for out here and in here, and you can you're going to already be able to feel the tension here. It definitely feels more stable than here, where it's more stretchy. Yeah. Alright guys, so now that you have reached the end here, I have also done another slip stitch on top of the first slip stitch, and I recommend you to do that just to make sure that you have everything secured and all, but you don't have to, because you can try, and I know that it will be pretty hard to do because of how thick it is with already like 3 layers of stitches on it. So you can chain one now. I mean, you kind of have to chain one, and then you cut off the yarn. You pull nice and tight, but not too tight so that the yarn rips. And then if you want, you can weave in your yarn either with a, is it called darning needle? Crochet needle, whatever it's called. Either with that or with your hook, or you can just cut it off. I'm just gonna weave it in a little bit and cut it off. So you can do whatever you want to end it off. You could tie it, which isn't my favorite way of ending things off, but whatever. This is your piece of artwork using my pattern. You can end it off however you want. And then here it is. I understand that some people may not like seeing the seams outside. I'm not a big fan of it either. But if I were to flip it inside out, then the side that I do not like would be showing. And also, as you can see, everything's like tucked in, and unless you like that, you can do that. Or unless you do the side backwards, for example, if you like crochet on a certain side that if you put the pretty side the pretty sides together so that it would be on the inside, and then before you crochet the strap, you just fold it, and then it can go how you want. So you can do straps or strap. I recommend a strap. That's how my original design was my original pattern, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I just am not a big fan, personally. That's my opinion. I'm not a big fan of straps, multiple on like little purses, or like any purses in general, other than ones that come with other straps. For example, I have one that is a little handbag. It's like this big, and then it has small straps that you could just hold, and then it also has like these hook-on straps that's like one that you can put like around yourself. So there's an option. You do what you want, but I'm just going to use my own method with just doing a strap. But if you want to know how to do straps, let me just show you really quickly. It's pretty simple. You just insert your hook. Actually, let me insert it here in the middle. Here, like somewhere around here in the middle of your, like on the sides. You're gonna chain one, then chain, I don't know, like 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then, oh, not 50, sorry, that would be 51. Okay, 49, there. So you have 50 chains, and then you can do it like that if you want, and then you just slip stitch it into the other side, and yeah. It's basically the same way that I'm doing, except I'm adding another row of half doubles. So actually, while we're here, unless you are doing 2 straps, you can follow along with me, or a little strap, whatever you want, you can follow along. So we already have 50 chains. Now you're gonna do 50 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you have 100 chains. Depending how long you want it to be, I like it that long. It's gonna be like this long. Yeah. Since we are working with half double crochets, you want to chain 2 extra chains. Usually you would chain 1 if you were doing like a double crochet. Actually, you would probably chain 2 with a double crochet. But if you were doing another stitch, you would chain 1. Anything other than like a half double and a double, I'm pretty sure those are the only stitches I know that you need to do 2 chains on. I mean, yeah, 2 extra chains on. So that's all I know. Sorry. So yeah, you're gonna chain 2 because when it folds over, it's going to be taking them, if you know what I mean. So let me give you an example. Into the 3rd chain from the hook, not the first one, not the 2nd one, the 3rd one right here. Gonna do a half, oops. You're gonna do a half double. And see what I mean? Look, it folds it over. That's why I was chaining 2 here, like when we were doing these rows. I didn't ask to chain 2 here though. You could if you want. I know I'm saying this late. You could if you wanted to. That's just not what I decided to do. I like the look without it, so yeah. That's just the reasoning to the chain 2 instead of 1, or chaining at all. You still want 100 chains, so you would not want to be decreasing 1 or 2 of them, or however many of them. So then you're just going to half double crochet all the way down until you reach the start of the chain, which, as you know, is right here at the bag. and I'll meet you right back. Actually, another thing that I want to mention is that please make sure that your chain is straight, because if it is not, your strap will come out wavy and twisted and it will not be good. So make sure as you're going, you're dragging your finger along so that, for example, if it was twisted like this is twisted, by the way, then your finger would automatically straighten it out. So even if there are twists in it right now, your finger will straighten it out as you go along the chain. So just make sure you do that, or just make sure that it is straight so that your chain isn't all wavy and wonky. Unless you want it to be. Unless that's what you want. But if it isn't, just make sure that your chain is straight. It's kind of easy to figure out though, because with chains, on the bottom of them, they look different from the top. On the bottom, oh my goodness, it's very hard to see on camera. On the bottom, this is the bottom, and then this is the top. The top looks more V-like, a bunch of V's, and then the top looks more V-like a bunch of V's, and the bottom looks like twists. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. But yeah, just make sure that it is straight unless you want it to be all twisty, turny, and wonky. So now I'll see you back at the beginning. All right, so now that you are at the end here, you can now slip stitch into the next stitch right here. Then you chain one, cut the yarn off, pull it, and then again you can weave in and cut it off, or just cut it off, or just weave it in, whatever you want. And then you lastly make sure your strap is nice and straight so that you don't accidentally attach it on like twisty, and then you can never really redo it unless you obviously take it apart. So once you make sure that your strap is nice and straight, get your yarn, get your hook, put the hook in there, the end of the strap, and put your hook also in with the strap still on your hook, put it also in the middle of the other side, and then you grab the yarn and you pull it through both the strap and the middle part, and then you're gonna chain one, then into the next stitch you do a nice slip stitch, chain one, cut it off, fold it, tighten it. Again, you can weave in, you can tie it off, you can cut it off, you could weave in and cut it off, whatever you want, however you want to end it, just make sure that it won't come undone. And then you are done. That is your purse. So I hope this tutorial worked out for you. I hope it turned out nice. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys whenever. Bye.